So now we are moving on to module 2, which is for a plan review for life safety uses, right? So we are going to just discuss regarding the basic requirement for life safety based on 101 or IBC code, which is mainly the passive fire requirement, right? So we are talking about the passive fire requirement with this module. I hope you guys uh, have gone for life safety classes with off the beginning of this program. So it's just like a basic overview for the various things we have to keep in mind while doing the plan. For more accurate, you have to go to NFPA 101. So the means of egress first we have as for 3.3.178 101. This is the definition for that, right? It is a continuous and unobstructed way of travel from any point in the building structure to a public way consisting of three separate and distinct parts, which is exit access, exit, and exit discharge. The exit access is the path of an exit route leading to an exit, right? A corridor that leads to a stairways exist or and the next one we have a exit. So the part of an exit route that provide a protected way of travel to the exit discharge, and the finally we can see here we have a exit, right? These are the exit. To going to the exit, we have to go from this axis, right? This is the one which is taking us outside the exit, which is the exit axis. And finally, when we are the outside, we call it the exit of discharge. So for the separation of means of egress, right? Corridor used as exit access and serving an area having occupant load more than 30%, right? More than 30% shall be separated from other parts of the building by a wall having not less than 1 hour fire resistance rating as for section 8.3, which is for fire resistance requirement. So we need 1 hour for these areas to safely exit the area in case of the fire without any smoke and heat coming into the means of egress areas. So 21 hour for the wall and 20 minutes for the fire doors, right? So the door should be at fire rating of 20 minutes. Then moving to the multi-story building, right? The exit route must be separated by 1 hour fire resistance rating for building having three or fewer stories. The one at the bottom, we need 1 hour fire resistance rating in this case, and the one at the top, which is more than 4 stories, so we need 2 hour fire resistant material for this construction. And if there is any opening inside the means of egress shall be protected by the separation, right? Shall be protected by some sealing, right? The sealing material to avoid avoid coming smoke and heat from other fire areas, so that it will be free from all kinds of the exposure. So all the openings shall be protected by fire doors, right? With 20 minutes, as I said. Um, here we have a 20-minute protection for all the openings. If there is a fire, it should be protected for 20 minutes. And opening in exit enclosure shall be limited to door assemblies only from normally occupied space and corridor and door assembly for egress from the enclosure. Now we have some other requirement for the means of egress for the separation, like exactly. if we have any kind of the penetrations into the opening, if we have any penetration into the opening through an exit, so an exit inclusion assembly shall be limited to the following, right? So we need that we understand that if we have some separation, right? Let's say this separation, right? The means of egress. So might be there some piping coming inside that one. Maybe the electrical wiring, might be some standpipe system, or any kind of the duct for the HVAC unit, sprinkler piping, standpipe system, or any kind of things we require to come inside that one. So what are the penetration possible in this assembly, right? Where should be, in what condition we can put some opening, right? The first one we can put the door assembly, the door assembly into that as for 7.1.3.2.1 parenthesis 9. We can put the electrical conduit, required exit doors, ductwork for the HVAC unit, right? Water or the steam pipe for plumbing and heat works, sprinkler piping, standpipe systems, and all those things. We can penetrate that one. Keeping in mind, those penetrations should be sealed by a fire-rated ceilings, so that it should be exactly equal to 2 hours or 1 hour's requirement as for life safety codes for the means of egress. Then we have impediments to egress, right? If you can see in this figure, right, as 12.1.9 of 101, it says that any device or alarm installed to restrict the improper use of means of egress shall be designed and installed so that it cannot, even in case of failure, impede or prevent emergency use of some means of egress. They have designed this one based on some requirement, right? The outwards and this railing. And after some time, they have put some kind of the flowers in there by them, which is acceptable by life safety code. Maybe some person will go outside, go from that by using this handrail. They will just use the handrail. If it's the old person, right, the veteran person who want to go outside, he have to be using this one. So this one is not acceptable, should not be there because it's designed in those areas and should be out of those areas in most of the cases. Then we have means of egress reliability, right? So when you talk about the reliability, we are talking about the how reliable this system is, right? So the means of egress shall be continuously maintained free of all obstruction, right? Or impediment to full instant use in case of fire or emergencies. Mostly, most of the case, I have seen the violation. In the means of egress, they said no one is using that one. Most of the time, they are using the elevators and all. They used to put some kind of the storage inside the stairs. At some location they put a storage, but that is not allowed by NFPA. If those storage catches the fire and someone using the means of egress, it is not safe for those guys to come and exposed with those heat and fire. So we should not allow any kind of the obstruction into the means of egress, which is designed based on the requirement. Doors, stairs, ramps, and the exit pathways are most common means of egress component, which you can see around means of egress equipment. The code also permit a fire escape, right? Fire escape ladder, alternating trade devices, and slide escape in certain occupancies, right? In some of the occupancies, there is a fire escape ladders built at the outside, although it is not possible in the new construction, but still it is there, so that person go outside in case of the fire. And then there are some of the slide escapes, right? The newer one, there is a slide from that one with some recent technologies and go out of that area. And where safe exit not possible, there are also area of reviews where some can take temporary shelters to avoid themselves from fire or smoke for certain times, provided with the communication system with the outsiders fire department team. A door in a means of egress should be side hinged or pivoted swinging, right? So it should be only side hinged or pivoted swinging, and door must swing in the direction of exit travels, right? So it's always swing in the direction of the exit table. So when we are going leaving a building, it should be going only towards that one. When serving a room or area with occupant load of 50 or more, or those, and the second one used in a exit enclosure where being a high hazard area. Now access to the exit, right? What is the access requirement for the exit, right? So this is the extremely important features since a person could be reaching to exposed to a fire or smoke condition during the time it takes to reach an exit, right? As we discussed, there are three parts of the means of egress. We have the access to the exit and the exit discharge. So, so as for NF life safety code, right, the maximum travel distance to any one exit shall not be more than 150 feet. 150 feet in building without a sprinkler system, or 200 with building provided with the sprinkler system throughout the building. Now, based on some different occupancies, if you go to life safety code, we have different 20 types of the occupancies. In some of the occupancies, they have the other requirement and limitation on the dead-end corridors, right? Dead-end corridors and common pathways. Suppose you are walking in case of the fire, you are going through one exit, but there is no exit to that side, right? It's a dead end. So there are the limitation for that one based on the sprinter's area and all. One should be following those. What is discussion going with the group in Arabic? Ahmad?
Yes, Mr. Rabi, discussing about what?
I don't know. There were some active in the group. Abdullah Al Karni and some other guys.
No, they are talking about the break, so they come back now.
Okay. Now we are going for the capacity of means of egress as per 7.3 of Life Safety Code 101. We are going to determine the occupant load, right, as for 7.3.1.2.101. So the number of occupant inside a building or portion of those buildings shall not be less than the number of persons determined by dividing the floor area, right? For those occupancies as for table 7312 or figure this one, type safety code. We have a table here, right? We have a occupant load factor for different building use, right? If you can see for the assembly use, we have we have in a square feet per second, and we have a square meter per second, right? So let's see for the kitchen areas, for the kitchen area, we have 100, we need 100 square feet per person, because in the kitchen area we cannot keep more person as usual, or 9.3 square meter per person. In the concentrators used without fixed seating, we need 7 net in a square feet, or 0.65 net in a square meter. Those you studied in the life safety code, we have to these values to come to this point. Now coming for the egress capacity, right? So the egress capacity for each means of egress component is based on clear width of the component and the types of occupancies, right? So what is the clear width of those areas, and what is the types of occupancy? It differs from one occupancies to other occupancies, right? So the egress capacity for an exit route is determined by figuring egress capacity of each egress component and determining the most restrictive component in the exit tour. So what they are talking about exactly, if there is some door at this location, right? And maybe some door at this side in the means of egress. So we have only this much space left in the means of egress, right? So this is our means of egress we have to calculate, not we have to exclude this area, since it is not it is getting restrictive at one place, right? So we have to design our means of egress based on the most restrictive requirement in those exit tour. In general, the egress capacity for stairs is 0.3 inch per person, right? 0.3 inch per person, and for ramps we have 0.2 inch per person. And here we have the capacity factors, right? Stairways width per person, occupancies with 0.4 inch per person in the stairways, and for the healthcare with the sprinkler system we need 0.3 inch per person in the stairways, and for the high hazardous area we need 0.7, because we need less time to escape the buildings, and in all other cases we need 0.3 weights per person. So these are the table we have to follow while reviewing the plans for life safety of the building or the construction failure of the building. So the minimum number of exit from any balcony or mezzanine or other area should be 2, right? So the minimum should the number of exits should be 2 in any case, right? Uh, and after that one, we have to increase the number of exit as per requirement A and B, right? Below 500 we need 2 exits, but if it is more than that we have some other requirement, right? The minimum number of exit must be increased as follow: occupant load of more than 500 but fewer than 1000, not less than 3. So if we have occupant load of 500 to 1000, we need 3 means of egress, right? For occupant load more than 1000, there should be at least 4 means of egress, in those areas. And then we have done for the elevator lobby and landing areas, right, for the exit access. So all the elevator, landing and lobby areas have access to at least one exit, right? So they should directly access to the exit so that they will go out in case of the fire safely. And the elevators landing and lobby exit access required by 74161 not required any kind of the key or tools or a special knowledge or any kind of efforts unless permitted by 74163 and those requirement of life safety code. If someone is there in the lobby area or inside the elevator, he should go outside of that without any kind of access or keys in case of the fire. Must all of the exits shall be located and exit access shall be arranged so that exits are readily accessible at all the times. So there should be always a accessible exit access to going toward the exit, right? There should be no obstruction in those areas. Now here we have requirement for the arrangement of the means of egress, right? So as per 75112 of Life Safety Code 101, we should have at least two number of means of egress, right? We should have at least two number of means of egress approved exit unless approved otherwise provided in those other code as per Life Safety Code 101. And sometimes the two exit requirement may not require for some specific occupancies a group based on chapter 1 to chapter 43. We have to follow those requirements. Then we are moving to the arrangement of the means of egress, right? And where we have two exits, right? Where we have two exits inside the building, all the exit access or exit discharge are required. They shall be located at a distance from one another not less than one half of the diagonal, right? One half of the length of the maximum overall diagonal dimension. But they are saying that this is the maximum diagonal distance, right? Inside this room, and we have a door 1 at this location, door 2 at this location, right? So the distance between these two means of egress, right? The distance between these two means of egress shall be at least half of the diagonal. So if it is our D, this should be at least half D. This is what they are talking about, talking in 7.5.101, the minimum distance into means of egress. And then we have arrangement of means of egress, right? The same figure, we have the different scenarios. If you can see, this is the distance D between the maximum diagonals. From this one to this one, we have D, right? And even the two exit, this inside one should be at least half the diagonal distance between two, right? This is 1, this is 2. If this is 20 meters, if it is 50 meters, this should be 25 meters, right? And here at the same, it will be also following the same requirement, half the D requirement. So from here to here, we have one diagonal in this in these areas, right? For this area, the distance between these two doors should be half of the main the small d means between this one to the right. And for the outside exit should be the capital letter D, right? So this distance between these two should be at least half of the D diameter. Now in this figure you can see we have a access to the exit also, right? Access to the exit also. Suppose you are at this location, right? You are at this location and you want to side in case of the fire, and you come all the way at this locations and there is one exit at this side. You didn't see that one, and you see this exit access, right? And you all the way started going like this. it will take more time to reach you outside of the building from this exit access. This is why they said we have to take care of exit access from this location all the way from this side, half the diagonal distance. So we have the next module, which is site plan review issue in fire protection. That's the one we are going to discuss now. For next half an hour, it will be complete. Within that, we have in module third, right?